Good evening, my fellow.
Good evening, all. Good evening. Vlad, I see you down there. Vlad. Um, shit. Where's Perry? What's up, Brett? What'd it be? Perry. Waiting on Perry. Scott, what were you saying? What were y'all talking about before you left? Who was that for? What do you mean, Brett? Bretimus Prime. Oh, yeah. I was just saying, hey, what's up? Yes. Uh, well, let me text Perry real quick. Make sure he's. All right, getting everybody together. Dun, texting like 8 people at one time. All right. I'm guessing anybody. Well, Peter will show up eventually. He said he would after he got done. He would show up. So we might have a fun time with old Peter. Might be another 3 sheets to the wind night. Scott, were you there the other night? Not last night, but yeah, last night. Were you there when Peter was just like gone? Scott, can you hear me?
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Yeah, dude, he was fucking lit, dude. He was lit. Christmas candle.
Like a Christmas candle. Tore up from the floor up, as we say.
Yeah, dude.
That was super
Yeah,
funny.
man. Dude, I fucking love Peter so much. He's such a good dude.
Yeah, he is a good dude. He's got a good heart and he's a good dad. I think he's a good man.
But it's like, I don't know. I always use the term pure. Like if somebody you're talking with somebody that doesn't have like term pure. Like if somebody you're talking with somebody that doesn't have like ulterior
No, yeah, he
motives to
doesn't.
what. Yeah, like he's just there to like talk and have a good time. Like I'm the same way. I have no ulterior motives. I'm not fucking gonna sell you Bitcoin or fucking any of this kind of shit.
I'm here to listen and learn. Here trying to analyze everything. That's my OCD.
Dude, that's life,
Yeah,
buddy. That's the fucking
trying to think a little bit ahead always.
that's the lesson. That's the lesson.
There we are.
Parents, you sick son of
You
a gun.
sexy beast, you. That shit was
Look at
dank,
you.
Barry. Love it.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That saved me a lot of trouble for real.
I'd say
You
it's
saved me a
better
lot
than
of
the
money.
last batch, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely better. It's definitely better.
Yeah, I mean,
What's going
you
on
spoke
here?
so highly of the last batch, and I just thought that you were joshing me, just trying to make me feel good. And I was like, it's pretty mid stuff, but I mean, I
Well, I mean,
guess,
I thought it was pretty decent. I mean, it worked for me, but this stuff is obviously better. So,
yeah. I mean, it does its job. I'd say
yeah,
the last batch, and of course this one.
yeah, it does. It does.
Dude, the subterfuge that's going on
Oh,
right now.
definitely subterfuge happened, but we're not going to say how it happened, so hush your mouth. Hush up, boy. All right.
Oh, I see. I had to search up that word.
Subterfuge. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You'll find me, Perry. I'm a fan of words.
I tried to not do subterfuge, not subterfuge. It's a
Of words.
yeah. I tried to not do subterfuge, not subterfuge. It's a noun, so I'm not exactly sure how to use it. Not engage in subterfuge. I try not to.
Subterfugal. Yeah.
We shall not. I wonder.
But there's also other words for subterfuge, um like I don't know, like you can talk about something without mentioning that thing. It's not
So deceit, trickery.
no, not deceit, but it's also like God, what is the terminology for that? It's like, hey man, yeah, did you get with that girl last night?
Oh, like a white
Right?
lie.
No, not a white lie. It's actually like a phrase in language. You're using something to represent something else. It's not necessarily a you're using something to represent something else. It's not necessarily a
A
metaphor.
pseudonym. A pseudonym.
No, it's not a pseudonym either. It's gonna come to
Yeah,
in
yeah,
like
yeah. I know what
15
you
minutes.
mean.
Hey Scott, I think you're a little quiet.
Yeah, you are a little low.
Oh, son of a bitch! Okay.
Probably like 20% more, and you'd be good. 25, 30% more.
Yeah, I can just.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, because right now I literally have the microphone of my yeah, because right now I literally have the microphone of my phone to my lips. This is the way I have to do Discord or fucking call in.
I
Come
mean, I
on
can hear
now.
you clearly, and it's really good now. But I mean, I don't want you to have to like fucking break your arm holding your phone up.
Get some headphones.
Like maybe you
Scott.
can
It's all
tie it to
good.
your face with rubber bands. I think that's a good idea.
Dude, I'm gonna get one of those duck hats
yeah.
and just like fucking do like a rubber band on the duck hat, dude. I'll be good.
Sweet idea, bro. Sweet idea.
What do they call those hats? Or is there? They're not. I don't
Duck
know if
hats.
it's. I don't know if it's the same hat that I'm thinking of. You know the one that
But just like a really long bill. Yeah,
the
like
protagonist in Catcher in the Rye, whatever.
yep.
Okay.
Okay.
What are they called?
But it was also in Sandlot. Do you remember in Sandlot the new kid had a fucking baseball cap that his bill was too long, and they all gave him shit for having a bill
What
that's
are
too
those
long?
hats that are like the winter hats that you could fold up, but you could fold them down over the ears if you want to? Those are the ones that I'm thinking of. I'm trying to search it up.
Holden Caulfield.
Yeah,
Who's that?
yeah, the one that Holden or Colden, whatever his name is, Caulfield wears. Hunting winter hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at the kind of hat that's in like Fargo,
Yeah.
right? So it's like you have like it's sort of like a wool cap, but you have the ability to bring down flaps over
Yeah,
your ears if you need
yeah.
be.
These
Yeah.
I don't.
I don't know
I'm
what
not. I
that's
can't
called.
find
Yeah.
like a name for them. I'm trying to look it up. Let's see. Name. Trapper hats? I don't think that's what I'm looking for, but what's the hat that?
Dude, do you know how many fucking like fake fucking profiles you see on Tinder, dude? It's crazy, bro.
No, but Scott,
Checking out people now.
you should get a pair of headphones or something. I mean, you don't have a pair of headphones with a speaker on it.
Oh, no, I have like studio headphones.
Yeah.
I don't have any headphones with a microphone.
They're more expensive anyway. I have that
My,
headset I
my
use, but
studio
it's
headphones are
unwieldy.
like
What?
Dude, my studio headphones were like $700.
Goddamn, are they Sennheisers?
Dude, yeah, they're Sennheiser HD
Yeah, those are fucking
650s.
amazing ones. That I used to have those. Those
What
are awesome.
what are they called? I'll search it up.
I can't believe you have the same pair. Those are delicious.
What is it? Sennheiser?
Yeah,
Sennheiser makes like professional
Sennheiser.
recording equipment and like audio equipment for recording
Yeah,
studios. So you can buy like
yeah,
the their like layman's version or the commercial version of their stuff, and it's expensive, but it's really good sound quality. All their driver technology is like patented for them.
Yeah, that
Uh,
probably sounds so nice.
dude, the HD 650s are actually like full blown
yeah,
studio
they are. The
fucking
650s
headphones.
are like on the cheaper end of
Yep,
studio headphones, but they work just as good. They're fucking amazing.
yep, yep. Yeah, I mean it's hard to spend about like eighteen hundred
Mm-hmm.
dollars on like a true fucking nice pair, but
Yes.
like $800, I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. That was the fucking top line, and I put that on Klarna, and it's like, okay, I'll pay that off in 2 years.
So we got some, not to change the subject because I'm having fun, but we are going to change the subject. Uh, Welcome everybody to the Pangburn Hangout as always. I think we got all our regulars in here, so thank you for always coming to listen to me and my panel because we're all super awesome and stuff, and so are you. But tonight, I figured that we would get into semantics, talking about what semantics is linguistically, the history of it, the etymology of the word, and we'll get a little bit into some of the subfields and ideas within linguistic semantics. And then we're also going to talk about formal semantics, and we're going to talk about how how semantics is viewed in the philosophical ideology, how it's different than the linguistic sense. And then we'll go on and read some other things that I've found and I've made notes of, and we'll talk about a bunch of weird different stuff. So let's start getting into it. I imagine everyone in the panel has an idea of what semantics is, but linguistic semantics, it's from the ancient Greek word, I can't pronounce it, semantikos, I guess. It means significance or meaning. It's the study of reference. Linguistic semantics is the study of reference or meaning. The term can be used to refer to the subfields of the several disciplines, including philosophy, linguistics, and computer science. So there is a semantics within semiotics within computer science. So semantics is, we'll get to that in a minute. It's computational semantics. But so let me read a little bit about the history, and then I'm gonna get some opinions on what they think what my panel thinks semantics are. So, in English, the study of meaning in language has been known by many names that involve the ancient Greek word, what is this, Ouija? No, sema, which means sign, mark, or token. Token is a word that you'll hear a lot in psychology, talking about like mental tokens. That's for a later discussion. But if you want to do some look up mental tokens or representational tokens, deals with some mental aspects of uh, semantics. So in 1690, a Greek rendering of the term semiotics, the interpretations of signs and symbols, finds an early allusion in John Locke's An Essay Concerning Human Understanding. So in 1831, the term sematology is suggested for the third branch of division of knowledge, akin to Locke, uh, or the quote signs of our knowledge. In 1857, the term semiasiology is attested in Josiah W. Gibbs' Philosophical Studies with English Illustrations. Couple more. In 1893, the term semantics is used to translate French sémantique, as used by Michael Brielle. Some years later, in the essay De Semantique, it gives a quote of what he wrote, but we're just going through the ideas real quick. In 1922, the concept of semantics is attested in mathematical logic amidst a group of scholars in Poland, including a lot of names I can't pronounce. According to Alan Walker Reed, They had been influenced by French culture. Moreover, later their work influenced by Alfred Korzybski usage of the term meaning. So one last one. In the 1960s, semantics for programming languages, computational semantics, is attested in publications by Robert W. Floyd and Tony Hoare, later later termed axiomatic semantics. The cheap application is like formal verification of computer programs. Um, so some years later, the term operational semantics and denotational semantics emerged. Floyd in the lead of his 1967 paper, assigning meanings to program rights, a semantic definition of a programming language in our approach is founded on a syntactic definition. It must specify which of the phrases in a syntactically correct program represents commands and what conditions must be imposed on an interpretation in the neighborhood of each command. So that's a little bit about the history of the word and the etymology. Let me go across the panel and get their ideas of what semantics is. So let's start with Scott because he's unmuted. What's up, Scott?
The notion of semantics.
I mean, anything you want to say about it. You don't have to say shit. I can move on to somebody else.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was just like, I was sort of like lost in thought there, and then you came to me.
No, it's okay. Well, just the history of the
I don't
word
know.
and just the idea. What does it mean to you when you hear semantics? Do you think about it linguistically? Do you think about it philosophically?
Yeah,
What do you think about it?
yeah. Well, I think it's a combination of both. Obviously it's an understanding of linguistics, but then you're putting it into a philosophical
Mm-hmm.
framework to understand
Mm-hmm.
what this means,
Yeah.
right? Because somebody can say the cat lives over there, and that could mean entirely different things to people based on
Yeah.
fucking what they think the words mean. Like, so it's I don't know. It's sort of a strange thing. It's one of these things that I feel a lot of effort's been put into understanding it, but there's no true
Well, no,
understanding of it, I
semantics is
guess.
completely normative, I would say. Do you remember the other night?
Yeah,
And I'll move
completely.
on to some other people in a second. But Scott, do you remember the other night when we were talking about the green light? You have a green light. Were you there?
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, you have a green light can mean like 15 different things, right?
Exactly. But more than that.
Yeah, more,
But
probably infinite if we really got to it. But no,
but
just in general, like
yeah,
15, 20 terms. Like, you have a green light, you can
exactly.
go. You have a green light. Okay, that means you have a green glow to your skin. I mean, like, you can. The semantics of that sentence are ridiculous. You know what I mean? Just because of the English language.
Exactly. Like we could say like the sentence, "It is stuck." That is a full sentence. What does that fucking mean?
Yeah,
It is stuck. That is an entire sentence in the English language. What does
yeah,
it mean?
exactly. There's one that's really vague. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. That is an entire sentence. Yep.
I mean, that can be interpreted in so many ways. All right, let's go to Perry.
Let's
Perry,
go.
what you thinking about semantics? What does it mean to you? Do you think about it linguistically, philosophically? What do you think?
Yeah, so initially I think about it, when I hear the word, I think about it linguistically. And then usually when I'm thinking about something philosophically, then semantics comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good that, so you mentioned I was not there for the green light conversation, but immediately I thought of, three or four different
Yeah,
things of what that could
exactly.
mean. And a big part of it is context,
Yes, we're going to cover that.
context in a
Yes.
situation. And it's good that so meaning also could mean, like, what do you mean by meaning?
Yep. That's
It could
meta.
be
That's
like,
meta semantics for anybody listening.
it could be like a definitional thing. Like, what is the meaning of evaporation?
Let's
We're going to
let's
respond
let's
probably
let's
with the
let's
with the
while we're
definition.
there, let's talk about this real quick for everybody in the audience and for future. Meta semantics in the philosophy of language and linguistics is the study of the foundations of natural language semantics. So the philosophical study of the semantics is metasemantics. It searches for the proper understanding of the compositionality of like the object of truth conditional analysis, um, the scope of semantic theory itself. That's what metasemantics is about. Uh,
Natural linguistics is an interesting
yeah,
term
well,
that
people,
you use
anything in
there.
natural language is like OLP, ordinary language philosophy. Natural language is going to be different from like um, terminologically advanced language or something like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's why also you mentioned. Did you say computer
Yeah,
science really deals
computational
with?
linguistics, I think, is a subdiscipline of
Com-
semantics or computational
well,
semantics. Yeah,
that
Mm, yeah.
that discipline can help us understand the philosophical and the linguistic because, like you said
Ooh,
earlier, there's like a axiomatic type of language that is created, and
there
perhaps that is what we have to use in our normal natural language is create tautologies and axioms on
but,
yeah. Any
but
language is
yeah,
going
what's
to be
that?
a
yeah,
formal
but Perry,
system which has an axiomatic
Hmm.
system
hold
at the
on.
root of it. What were you going to say, Scott? Scott?
Perry, we already have that. So if you're talking about programming language, you're using like if then, if not, if and. Like this is the fundamentals of what programming is for computers. It takes like you run some computation. It says if this computation equals this, it passes along. If it does not, it does not pass it along. But this is the fundamentals of the way programming works. Programming
The
is purely
the funny part is
logical.
the
Is
code.
purely logical.
Scott, the funny part is the code compiler has to make sense of what you are putting in there in English. It's not. It's
Yeah,
having
yeah,
to translate the English into
yeah.
the binary. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that's why you have hex, like hexadecimal. So you can take the entire English language and convert it to
Yeah.
hexadecimal. So everything that we have, everything that we use in technology is based off a hex
Yeah.
system, right?
Yeah.
It's a hexadecimal system. This is just the way it works. But it's different from what human beings experience, right? So like to me, like the notion of like, well, what does somebody mean about this kind of thing? Like I don't know. It's beyond a system. I think
Okay.
if if, if you see what I'm saying,
I do
like
see what you're saying. Perry, do you
um,
want to respond and then let me jump to Honenheim and Don Don?
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
not sure what Scott was responding in terms of what I said, but what he just said sounds good. It sounds like the hex system is what you were referring to as the fundamental axiomatic part of
yeah,
the language, we'll call it, that goes into computation or computing.
Yeah, it would just be a
And
programming
my
language.
my point all was that that discipline could help with the philosophical and linguistic
Yeah, it can.
aspects of understanding
Yes, it
meaning, for
can.
example. And
Yes.
there's a couple of other things that people mean by meaning, of course, as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you talking about the history of, it was semanticos and then it was semantiques
yeah,
or whatever, and then Locke had a notion of it
Yeah.
that helps with the whole issue of the meta.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah.
Yep. Metasemantics is a very small idea, but it's very powerful because we're just understanding the metaphysics of reference and meaning in itself. You know, the scope of semantics and what do they call it, semanticology or whatever, theory itself. So, metasemantics is important to understand, but we're just going to dive deeper into the formal stuff and then talk about the meaning in philosophy. So let me go to Honenheim. You with us?
I'm making a heck ton of noise here, so I'm
Oh,
I
you.
knew I was going to hear water. That's either water or that's like steam
He's
coming
always
from.
doing his
I
chores and stuff.
knew that I was going to hear some sort of water, either a spritzer or the sink or a shower or whatever it is. But
it's
Honenheim, come back on here. You weren't that loud. Come back on.
No, yeah, you're fine. I'm just.
Get louder and louder and louder.
No, you're fine right now. What is
You sure?
Yeah, I think you're good right now. I
What the
mean, we'll let
shit?
you know if we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Can
I'm
everybody
cooking
hear?
beef, making
Can everybody hear him well?
Ah, he's cooking. Okay, it wasn't water.
Hodenheim, can you close your
frying pan.
glass door? Can you close your glass door?
What the hell? What glass?
Because I've seen you in your apartment. When you close your door, that's behind you. Normally, you have
Whoa.
your
Whoa,
normally you
Scott,
have
you've
your
seen
phone.
Hohenheim in his apartment? Whoa.
No, we
Yeah,
always see
yeah,
Hohenheim in his apartment. He's
I know.
yeah,
shown it
I'm
to us
kidding.
many times. Uh,
Whenever
yeah,
I see Hohenheim, he's always by
guys,
like some
guys, real
nice,
quick,
like, I don't
guys.
know,
Let's hang on one
restaurant.
second for me.
I'm just.
Guys, hang on one second for me. Can you hear Hohenheim well, everybody? Just to make sure the room can hear him. Hohenheim.
It's hard.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me? Is it clear?
Yes, I can. I
Oh,
can
that's
hear you.
clear.
It's like 5
I
out
have
of
to
10.
come. Is it much clearer if I come here like that?
It's a little bit clearer.
What the
Do you
hell?
want me to wait on you? Do
4 or
you want me
5
to
out of
wait on
10,
you until
I'd
you
say.
can get in here?
No, to answer one thing, I was going to say, I think about it and symbologically, if that's a word, or
Well, I was just going to ask,
symbolically.
what is your mean? Is that what you mean by semantics when you think about it? Is that your answer?
Yeah, because they're like single meanings, so uh, they're just symbols for those meanings, and then the logic of the symbols of those meanings,
Well, yeah, that's semiotics.
symbologically.
That's semiotics,
Semiotic?
Hohenheim. We're talking about
What's
semantics.
Oh, cool. There's a better word.
Yeah,
I was thinking about semantics because semantics is the meaning behind
semantics
whatever's being
is the
written,
meaning
whatever's being
behind
coded, whatever's
propositions.
being
Did you-
yeah. So whatever's being proposed, then yeah.
yeah,
So that's what I'd
semantic.
say. It is all just So then there's meanings and symbols for things. So everything's just the language of symbols, kind of. So
We're losing you a little bit, Hohenheim.
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
No, yeah, we hear you. It's just we're losing your voice decibel a little bit. That's all.
Oh, that's funny. I was walking away from the noise. Does it get louder if I
Yeah,
walk?
that's pretty good right now.
That's weird. Okay, I'm walking to the noise. Okay, that's cool.
Uh,
Yeah,
now
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
little
You
iffy,
carry on.
but
Okay. All right. Let's Hohenheim. I'll come back to you, bud. When you're not, if you want me to, we'll talk some more about that here in just a second. When you're not uh, doing something, if you want to, do you want to continue trying to tell us what your meaning of semantics is, or do you want to wait? Oh, okay. All right, bud. Don, give us your meaning of what you think semantics is. What it is it to you? You're muted. You're muted.
I don't have much knowledge in the formal semantics language. It's probably like a passing chapter in some class I took once, so I don't know too much about it. But when I think of semantics, the first thing that pops in my head is the thing that makes arguments suck and discussion horrible, because people are always going to be using words to mean different things, and
That's
it's
right.
the most
Everybody has their own
fundamental
lexicon.
semantic. Everybody has their own little language that they play, and it's awful.
Yeah.
And obviously, this just informs me. Okay, so I'm talking about the signs and the things the sign represents. So, like, I feel like semantics applies to like hieroglyphics has a semantic structure.
Yeah,
to
I
it,
would
and
say it has a
semantics
semiotic structure, which is the application to signs and symbols to meaning. But like in terms of semantics, yeah, I can see that too. So I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, it gets to the point where semantics, I think, even it's meta semantics. I
Yeah.
guess like different slogans or phrases. I think we had a conversation earlier today about what is the taboos and the associations, the things that people understand when they hear the word war of ideas.
Right. Yeah, we
Right? Like
did.
when you think of a tree and I think of a tree, we're not thinking of the same tree, but yet we have this idea of a tree.
Yeah.
And in dialogue, we can miss out on that. There's just discussions. Yeah. So that's what I think of when I think
No,
of
that's
semantics.
perfect. I mean, it is the thing that makes conversations break down because everybody is not agreeing on the academic lexicon. No, it's not the absolute truth, final word on everything. But if we don't use at least somewhat similar lexicons, nobody's lexicon is going to be the exact same as somebody else's. But if we focus on trying to be rigorous and try to stick with. Doesn't have to be super technical, but you at least have some understanding of the academic jargon so that we can have conversations on this stuff, right?
Hmm.
Yep.
I'm actually preparing for a debate
Yeah,
tomorrow,
yeah.
and I think semantics is the biggest hurdle in the understanding of this
What do you
statement.
think
So.
is going to be the biggest semantic hurdle?
Oh, what it means to be racist.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's going to be it. If you think, like, for example, the word race, racist could mean you and I individually are racist. Laws aren't people. How can laws be racist? Well, if laws can be racist, why do they have to mention
Right.
race to be? Like, it's about the definition of that word and how do we use that word and what that word means within a specific perspective or a specific mode
Or a
of thinking
context, yeah. Yeah.
or a
Yeah,
language.
yeah. Exactly. Let's see who Travis said he'd be back in a second, so we'll get his take on it in a minute. Let's go look at we gave some history. So let's talk about the linguistic. Just let's give an overview of linguistic semantics right now. We'll talk about it, okay? And this is everything you guys have already mentioned. But in linguistics, semantics is the subfield that studies meaning. Semantics can address meanings at the levels of words, phrases, sentences, or larger units of discourse, such as paragraphs. Two of the fundamental issues in the field of semantics are that of compositional semantics and lexical semantics. So, compositional semantics is basically how smaller parts like words combine and interact to form meaning of the larger expressions, like sentences as propositions. Remember, the sentence is just the grammar, the syntax. The proposition is the meaning implied within the proposition. So lexical semantics is the nature of meaning of words, the nature itself of the meaning of words. It's difficult to describe. I mean, the easiest way is that it's another subfield of linguistic semantics. It studies word meanings, specific word meanings. It includes the study of how words structure their meaning and how they act in grammar and their compositionality and their relationships between like the distinct senses and the uses of a certain word. So lexical semantics is pretty important, but I think you get the difference between the two. Other prominent issues in semantics are those of context and its role on interpretation, ambiguity, vagueness, entailment, and presuppositions. So several disciplines, excuse me, several disciplines and approaches have contributed to the often contentious fields of semantics. One of the crucial questions which unites different approaches to linguistic semantics is that of the relationship between form and meaning. So everybody is making contributions to this in some way or the other if they are semantician, I guess is the way you would say that. Um, Some major contributions to the study of semantics have derived from studies in the 1980s and 1990s in related subjects of the syntax-semantics interface and pragmatic linguistics. We talked about pragmatic linguistics the other day, but as an overview of what that is, it's the study of how context contributes to meaning. So the context of a sentence, the context of a word, the surrounding atmosphere, if you will, of what the word is trying to mean. That's what context is. Everything around it, around the word, taken into understand. It's hard to describe context without using the word context. So a syntax semantics interface is the interaction between syntax and semantics. So basically what I said a minute ago, how the sentence is, how the proposition is. The car is red as a sentence, but it's also a proposition with meaning, color, car, all that stuff. Hang on, my voice is dying. 1 second. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys. So anyway, real quick, we'll finish this up. The semantic level of language interacts with other modules or levels like syntax, which we talked about, syntax semantics interface, in which language is traditionally divided. In linguistics, it is typical to talk in terms of interfaces regarding such interactions between modules or levels. For semantics, the most crucial interfaces are considered those with the syntax semantics interface, pragmatics, and phonology. So that's just a general overview of how semantics is viewed in linguistics. We talked about compositional semantics, which is That pertains to how smaller parts like words combined and interact to form the meaning of larger expressions, propositions. And lexical semantics was the nature of the meaning of words within a lexicon or within a lexis. The main issues here are context, ambiguity and vagueness, and presuppositions. So, what do you think about that, Perry?
So one thing that keeps bothering me is it seems like all of these titles that you're giving are metaphors, and it's like we need to use a metaphor to describe and define another metaphor.
Which metaphor? Which
So
specific metaphors are we talking about?
so you use words like interfaces, modules,
Yeah,
levels.
you have to think about this in a systems philosophy kind of way because that's what these linguistics structures are systems. Just like a language is a system that has an axiomatic
Right.
semantics to or an axiomatic semiotics to it, right? Not semiotics. God
Mm-hmm.
damn it. An axiomatic system is a formal system, like languages are
Formal.
formal
It's a formal.
systems.
Yeah.
Certain logics
Right.
are formal systems. Certain maths are formal systems, right?
I get all of
Yeah.
that. Really, where it got me is when. So first, I'm having trouble differentiating compositional and lexical. I know you said the compositional was the smaller parts of the word forming, and then
It's
you
the
say
smaller
lexical is
parts in the word. It's the study of the smaller parts in words, how they combine and interact to form meaning in larger expressions,
meaning, right?
right?
When you use the word nature describing the
Let's go
lexical,
into that real
uh,
quick because I
uh,
think that's important. Let's look at that real quick. I took some notes on this because I knew these
yeah,
two things would be
what
something
does
we'd need to
nature
know.
mean? It seems like a
Yeah,
metaphor.
the study of I can't talk right now. 1 second, dude. I don't know what. Maybe it's the vape. I don't know. Anyway, lexical semantics as a subfield of linguistic semantics is the study of word meanings, not sentence meanings. It includes the study of how words structure their meaning,
Gotcha.
how they act in grammar and compositionality, and the relationships between the distinct senses and uses of a word. I don't know. Sense is a very interesting word they use there. Senses can just mean different types, right? Different senses. Something like I say this in the certain sense, right? Uh, so the study of lexical semantics looks at the classification and decomposition of lexical items in a sentence, the differences and similarities in lexical semantic structure across linguistics, cross linguistically, and the relationship of lexical meanings to sentence meanings and the syntax. That's what I said earlier. The syntax semantics interface. Just think about that as kind of the axiomatic nature of semantics. So I don't know if that explained lexical semantics to your satisfaction, but we can keep going into it.
Well, I was wondering if you were going to end up saying that word again, axiomatic, and I think that that's just what I want,
Yeah,
not
any
necessarily
formal
what I wanted to
system
hear,
has
but
any axiomatic system is also a formal system, which is every system has axioms, even English.
and that's what you mean when we talk about nature, the nature of it, the
I
nature
think
of
so. I
the
don't know
lexicon.
why it used the word
Okay,
nature there, but I guess it doesn't really have any other way to describe it. Something's nature
because
to me
nature
is
is,
just something as it presents itself into us in reality. That's something's nature.
I think of it as like a
It's
metaphysical term, nature.
no
Sure, yeah, it is a
nature is the
metaphysical
way
term. You're right about that.
is it. But if you think about nature as just the way that something exists,
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
meant.
fine
That's
with that.
exactly what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
meant,
yeah.
Scott.
So,
yeah.
yeah, but don't we, Scott, always have, and this may just be like an unfair like criticism because I can always say this, but isn't
Mhm.
our interpretation of any word, we'll take nature for example, that which exists, which I epistemologically agree with that definition, but isn't our interpretation metaphysical in that sense, where we are just, I mean, interpretation and metaphysical seem kind of similar to me. and go ahead and refute that if.
I guess I don't understand what you mean by metaphysical. I might be taking that terminology differently than you
So
are.
let's remember, everybody, that metaphysical is not synonymous with supernatural. Metaphysical is a branch of philosophy that deals with the most paradigmatic and fundamental ideas in philosophy that get us to other branches of philosophy from there. So the supernatural and the question of what is natural and supernatural and methodological naturalism and metaphysical naturalism, all of that falls under the purview of a certain part of metaphysics. But just for the audience, metaphysics and supernatural are not synonymous.
Yeah,
A
go ahead,
quick
Scott.
bit to help
Or
you
Don.
understand. A quick bit to help you understand. The reason why it's called metaphysics is simply because when the monks found Aristotle's scrolls, there was biology, mathematica, physica, and then there was a book with no name after
Yeah,
it. So they named it after
yeah. After
physics,
physics. Yeah.
metaphysics.
Now
It's really just first
today,
axiom.
and Don's exactly right. But today, meta means above, or all encompassing,
Yeah,
or
that's
a
what I
meta
was going to say
question
too.
is questioning the question, right? That's a meta question. So there's a way to think of everything in a meta sense. There's meta philosophy, like we said a minute ago. There's meta semantics. So yeah, there's a meta part. There's meta ethics. There's meta epistemology. There's meta ontology.
Maybe we should use different semantics. Maybe we should just say first principles
Yeah,
or
I like to use first
first
principles,
philosophy or
or I like to use metaphysical foundation. Like the quantum realm is
First,
my metaphysical foundation. Or my physicalist ontology.
it's just that foundation is another metaphor. It seems like.
Of course it is.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not actually talking
and
about
that
a
might be
real
the point.
foundation.
It might be this might be the point that I'm trying to convince myself of. I'm not sure. Yeah, what Scott? I wanted to hear what you were going to say earlier.
I don't know. I'm just going to say, man, it's a hard pill to swallow, but at some point you just have to say, yeah, it's
Got to
you know,
pick yourself up by your bootstraps. I get it.
no, not pick yourself up by your bootstraps, but like we find ourselves in this existence, and that's all we can really deal with. We can't deal with what happens before existence,
Hmm.
right? Or our
Interesting.
existence, or all of existence. Like you just can't.
Interesting.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm sure. I completely agree. I think that's why I said pick yourself up by your bootstrap because, you could just go infinite, for infinite,
Yeah,
oh, well,
yeah,
what happened before?
Infinite regress. Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
yep. No,
Oh,
yeah. You're right, Harry. Like you can go that route, and that route is totally fine. But I mean, to me, it just seems you do have to get to a point of just saying, like, well, of course, like it's going to get to a point where I don't know, nobody around me knows,
right.
nobody who even has the best equipment in the world can tell us what this question is, and that's fine. I'll just go with what I have. Right?
Yeah, no, I don't see an issue with like realizing that it is metaphysical or interpretive or whatever word you want to put there, which I'm sure is something that you're going to talk about. I mean, perhaps Thomas, maybe not, because for me it seems like finding synonyms for words is a good way to describe them. I was going to say I don't know if you were going to touch on that at all during the show,
well,
but
I mean, yeah,
that's
we can
something
touch
that
on it right
I
now if you want
find.
to. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that I find. I don't know if there's like a name or a discipline for it, but to understand what meaning means, for example, well, we can use. I mean,
Meta semantics. That's what is meaning. The meaning of meaning. That's what we were talking about a minute ago. That is an
we
important
kind
question.
of we inadvertently, I guess, talked about it. I guess on either when I was talking about Russell or when I was talking about Wittgenstein,
Probably would have been
when we could use
Wittgenstein.
probably Wittgenstein, when we use examples to, and these examples being synonyms in this case, we could use synonyms to describe what a chair is or what game means. Or
We can use analogies and signs as well. Symbols.
analogy and synonym might be synonyms for each
Yeah, I
other.
think so. Synonyms just mainly mean Yeah, I guess you could say that analogy is the same in a
Yeah, they're
certain way.
not
Yeah.
completely overlapping.
See, this right
but
here is
yeah.
a semantics issue you and me are experiencing right now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what we have to remember, everybody, is that linguistics is at the base of all philosophy, all of it, everything. Don, go ahead, bro. Oh, you're good? Okay, cool. I thought you were about to pop in on us. I'm just kind of prejudging here.
Wait, I have a question for Don. I have a question for
Okay, go for it.
Don when he was talking about Don. Do you think that because you said one of the biggest issues was we have different definitions for the words that we use, and we're talking about two different things? Do you think that steel manning is a good way to hedge that issue? The art
It
of steel
can.
manning.
It can be very frustrating, but it could be a good way. But I still think it's not good enough, because to learn, to really understand what a person's talking about, we can agree on a definition of a word, but we also have an experience of the word, and then we have to recognize the other person's experience of it. So, for
Oh, yeah.
example,
I see.
let's a problem that we can get a lot, at least in political language, is someone says a specific phrase. You go, "That's a dog whistle," and they go, well, "That's not what that means." I was like, "Yeah, I know that's not what that means, and I know that's not what we use it like." But some people have this association or this experience of that term, and while it doesn't mean the dog whistle, when you hear it, it brings all of that other stuff together.
Yeah,
with
the
it.
context,
I'm a
Like,
the
victim
for
of that,
context
for
is
sure.
there from the ethos of the culture and everything else.
So steel manning, if we really want to steel man, can't just be definitional. It has to be like, and this word within this context has this meaning and this meaning to this community and that community, and it's associated with this notions and this notions.
Well, if you use a sentence to describe a word, you have to then define each word in that sentence, and then all the words that you use to define that
That's
one word.
compositional. That's compositional semantics. Remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with that, Perry, too. Like, somebody could say all those exact same words in that exact same sentence structure, but have a different look on their face the
Yep.
entire time, and it
Yep,
means
different
something
experience.
totally fucking different, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're both like, yep, definitely.
Talking over
We're
each
on the
other's
same
heads and
page.
still agreeing.
Yep.
Hey, I use onomatopoeias a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
when I explain things or when I teach things. Onomatopoeias are great, and people understand what they mean, and they have no definitions at
Yeah.
all.
That's true. They are just the
Like, you
sound
take the
themselves.
glass and just whoop it. Just whoop.
Voop it.
Yeah.
Perspective. Yeah, that's right, Capel.
If you remember my onomatopoeia of lifing,
Lifing, yeah.
I used the word groggling. I don't know if you guys remember
Yeah,
that
I
word
remember
that
you
I
saying
used,
it, but
you're groggling through
groggling
life,
through
or
life,
grogging.
trudging through the swampery. You're muted.
Yeah, just like a random, I don't know, it's just like a random utterance
It's-
that came to me when I thought of
Hang on.
just going about
Hang
life.
on a
I
second.
don't know.
Don Don's trying to say something. It's cutting him out.
No, I was just saying, yeah. I'm like, but it's in that we say trudging, but really we're just using another word that means something similar to grogging, because we understand groggling as like this trudging through life through the specific way from the conversation
Right.
that we had. It means something entirely different to you and me than it means for anyone listening right now.
Yeah.
But there's also something interesting too, because a word like cunt, like there's like something about like the way it's pronounced that also carries meaning, right?
Yeah.
Like conk or crunt or like cunt or fucking Trump. Yeah.
These presuppositions are baked into the context of certain words because of
It's
culture.
wild.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
All these presuppositions that we have baked into these words from culture are all over the English language and all of our mimetic conversating.
Mhm.
So let's go on a little bit. Is everybody said their piece for a minute? I'm gonna move on for just a little bit. All right, cool. All right, let's go to. We're still talking about linguistic semantics. Let's talk a little bit about formal semantics, okay, guys? So, formal semantics seeks to identify domain specific. Let's explain what that means. So, domain specificity is a theoretical position in cognitive science that argues that many aspects of cognition are supported by specialized, presumably evolutionarily specified learning devices. Okay. It says the position is a close relative of the modularity of mind, but is considered more general. So let's just assume we understand that completely, because I don't 100% understand that. And I was reading earlier, and I was like, I'm gonna say it, but I'm not gonna act like I completely understand. So we're just gonna say it. Formal semantics seeks to identify domain-specific mental operations which speakers perform when they compute a sentence's meaning on the basis of its syntactic structure. So the syntactic structure of the sentences themselves, the way it's put together, that's the way that formal semantics is going to mathematically analyze the semantics of a sentence. So remember, a sentence is just the syntax, the rules of the language, the grammar put together, and then the proposition is the meaning from that we get from those semantics, from that syntax. Okay. If you want to know more about syntax, look it up, or go back to my video, my video audio. My last couple of episodes, and we get into syntax and morphology and phonology and all that kind of stuff. So just go back a few episodes, get caught up if you haven't. But anyway, theories of formal semantics are typically floated on top of theories of syntax, such as generative syntax or combinatory categorical grammar. So let me just keep reading this, then we'll go back, okay? Theories of formal semantics are typically floated on top of theories of syntax, such as generative syntax or combinatory categorical grammar, and provided a model theory based on mathematical tools such as propositional calculus. The field's central ideas are rooted in early 20th century philosophical logic, which would be like paraconsistent logic, predicate logic, things like that, as well as later ideas about linguistic syntax. It emerged as its own subfield in the 1970s after pioneering work of Richard Montague and Barbara Partee, and continues to be an active area of research. So formal semantics is looking at it as a formal system, and it's, formal semantics studies, let's say it like this. Formal semantics is the study of grammatical meaning within syntax and all that in natural languages like ordinary English language, using formal tools from logic like I just described, and theoretical computer science. So formal semantics is very formal. That's why they call it that, because it is mathematically, they go about referencing meaning from syntax mathematically. I don't know how 100% that all fits together with understand. We can read some more. Formal semantics is an interdisciplinary field, sometimes regarded as a subfield of both linguistics and the philosophy of language. Philosophy of language will be something that we cover in the next episode after semantics. So if you want to know more about it, look it up, but we will get to that in the next couple of episodes. Formal semantics provides accounts of what linguistics expression means and how their meanings are composed from the meanings of their parts. So that's another compositional semantics. So the enterprise of formal semantics can be thought of as that of reverse engineering the semantic components of natural languages, grammar, and syntax. That's a good way to think about it. The enterprise of formal semantics, what it's going for, can be thought of as that of reverse engineering the semantic components out of the natural languages, grammar, and syntax. So grammar is the overarching category, syntax, phonology, graphemics, all that stuff is underneath grammar, okay? But to understand the grammar, we need semantics. So a little bit more on, let's just read a little bit more from my notes. Formal semantics studies the denotations of natural language expressions. High-level concerns include compositionality, reference, and the nature of meaning itself. Yeah, so let's say, so in semantics, the key topics, in formal semantics, the key topic areas include scope, modality, binding, tense, and aspect. That's some weird, I don't remember what I said about these what was said about these when I watched that video. Um, so in formal semantics, the scope of a semantic operator is okay. So this is going to get into some math. I don't know if I want to go too deep into that. Modality refers to the ways language can express various relationships to reality. Okay. Binding is the phenomenon in which anaphoric elements such as pronouns are grammatically associated with their antecedents. For instance, in the English sentence, Mary saw herself, the anaphor herself is bound by its antecedent, Mary. Okay, so things like that. That's what it's talking about. It's saying that formal semantics' high level concerns include compositionality, how it's composed of the smaller pieces, reference, which is deals with meaning specifically, and the nature of meaning itself. So we talked about the key topics, the scope, modality, binding, tense aspect. Semantics is distinct from pragmatic linguistics, which encompasses aspects of meaning which arise from interaction and communicative intent. So it's like pragmatism in any other sense. They're talking about what happens as the interaction and the communicative intent is happening, looking at things very pragmatically from a consequentialist viewpoint, after the fact understanding instead of before the fact equation. That's the easiest way I can metaphorically put that. But just a little bit more. The formal semantics is an interdisciplinary field, often viewed as a subfield of philosophy, while also incorporating work from computer science, logic, and cognitive psychology, cognitive science. So within philosophy, formal semantics typically adopt a Platonistic ontology and an externalist view of meaning. So within linguistics, it is more common to view formal semantics as part of the study of linguistic cognition. As a result, philosophers put more of an emphasis on conceptual issues, while linguists are more likely to focus on the syntax-semantics interface, like we talked about earlier. So that is a lot to sponge up. Do you have any thoughts, Perry?
It's interesting because we presuppose, I guess, a pragmatic way on how we use words in a sentence to have some kind of meaning.
Yep.
I just wonder what a language would look like if it presupposed like idealism.
Oh, I don't know.
Like there was,
Good question.
It's just a random thought that I had when. And you mentioned also Mary saw herself and how the pronoun.
Yeah, that was binding. That was binding.
The art of binding.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me think of context. Like
Yes.
we can understand what something means based on the antecedent context that is being used, and that helps. Hopefully, supposedly, I'm presupposing that.
These are the key. These are the key topic areas in formal semantics: is scope, modality, binding, tense, and aspect. And tense was like a time of reference, like past tense, pretense.
That makes sense.
And aspect is a grammatical category that expresses how an action, event, or state, like denoted by a verb, extends over time. Does that make sense?
Grammatical extends over.
You're a little quiet. Oh, you're talking.
Yeah,
you're talking to yourself. I'm sorry.
I'm
Yeah. It's saying aspect is a grammatical category that expresses how an action, event, or state, denoted by like a verb or something, extends over time.
Is there an ideal form of aspect, or
it did say within philosophy, considering formal semantics in philosophy, it says within philosophy, what I wrote down. Within philosophy, formal semanticists typically adopt a Platonistic ontology and an externalist view of meaning.
I like that. I think that's what I do as well.
So semantic externalism is the view that meaning of a term is determined in whole or in part by factors external to the speaker. So some ontologically real semantics.
Maybe I shouldn't do that, though, because that's where we get our issue that Don was talking about, where we have a different Platonic ideal of what a chair means. And there's always going to be that little bit of non-overlapping agreement. And so maybe we should take a more a posteriori approach, a more pragmatic approach, based on the results that we see but then again, our seeing, our empirical apparati are also not the same.
That's
so
right.
it seems like we're going to be left with the
But
same
it's
issue
close
with
enough to the
empiricism.
people who are critically thinking and being academically rigorous about this. It's close enough so that we can communicate.
So we think.
So we think.
So we
Yeah,
think.
so we think it's close
Yeah.
enough to us as apes that we are within our lexis and our lexicon to be able to communicate these things. Even though this is all difficult, even though this is all difficult terminology, you still get the major gist of what I'm saying. I think.
We hope and we
We
assume
hope
and
you
we
do
think
understand that
also as
formal
well.
semantics.
Yes.
Yeah. You do understand that formal semantics, just from us talking about it, is the mathematically logical way to look at the syntax of the grammar and pull from that mathematically the meaning. That's kind of what
Yeah,
computational linguistics is trying to do.
I thought of Russell when you said that
Yeah,
3 minutes
he's
ago.
mentioned in a
when
lot
you
of the stuff I
mentioned
said. Let me ask real quick, since we've got my boy Trav here. Travis, do you think about what is semantics to you? What do you think about? Do you think about it linguistically and philosophically, or what do you think?
Well, I think it's the big game,
Mm-hmm.
man. It's the big game. It's in everything we think about, anything that includes language, which is what we are,
Yeah.
you know, body language, cons- uh, me- mental constructs, concepts, metaphysical objects of language,
Yeah.
you know, however you want
Yeah.
to put it. I think, you know, when I reflect on and think about the thousands of conversations that we have every year at Pangburn, I mean, it's got to be 95% of it is spent on the philosophy of
Semantics.
semantics
Yep.
and linguistics, right?
like intentionally or
when we get into
unintentionally also.
Oh, I think it's just part of the process of organizing concepts and clarifying the
Yeah.
mind. I think it's just a necessary part of that process because we think in language objects.
We
you
do.
know? And I you know, so I think like getting better at meaning is what this all means.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? When we think about this all in a meta sense.
Trying to get our lexicons as
you know,
close to each other as we can so we can do better science is what I'm going for.
And if we can't, if our emotionality gets in the way of that, if our traditionalism gets in the way of that, we may proceed with different meanings of different words so long as we are speaking to the same thing that these concepts are being abstracted
I
from.
agree. That's a good way to put it.
You know, I try, you know, some people feel very strongly, and look, Jordan Peterson feels very strongly that a woman is a female.
Yeah.
But there are many people who also strongly disagree. And I don't think there's you know, any intrinsic meaning to these words that we abstract meaning for and from. So I think this is going to be a thing that we always and will probably forever do, is work through new meanings, new adaptations, new things. You know, marriage no longer means between a man and a woman. It means something different. This is an issue of meaning. This is an issue of semantics. So, you know, that's what I think about the concept of semantics. And a moral ought I would add to this is so that we can better pursue ideas that may maximize well-being for ourselves. I think it's important for us to refine how we communicate with each other and use language, and also considering the amount of energy saved when we are generally on the same page semantically.
Yes.
So KDOT says there aren't cowboys in fucking Canada, Travis. Y'all are a bunch of cowgirls. Speaking of linguistics, ha ha ha, stupid ass hat. Well, I like this hat.
I like the hat too.
So,
I don't even see
fair enough. You don't like the hat, but I would say you need to visit Alberta because there's a lot of cowboys, like, you know, true cowboys in Alberta. So I think you need to learn a little more about my beautiful country, the most powerful country in the world.
See the semantics of
Is that
it? Yeah, boys who own cows and shit. Well, okay, whatever floats your boat. I think it looks dumb. Ha 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 ha.
This guy really doesn't like cowboy
No.
hats, eh? Well, actually, this is a I call it an
Archaeologist hat.
adventure
It's
hat.
an archaeologist hat.
Yeah, an archaeologist
Yeah,
hat,
bro.
man. Haven't you seen the
The
pictures?
pitches. You is in pitches.
Yeah.
So let's go around the room. Honnenheim, are you with us, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm saying, holy crap, you need a hat far more in Canada than in most of the world. It's fucking freezing in Canada.
Yeah. KDOT
Yeah,
needs to do a little
hat-
more research there, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I can't see Travis.
Scott, what's up? Scott, you still with us? And we're missing Scott already. You already passed out on us, dude. You're playing chess. He's probably playing chess. Don, you want to get anything in here before I ramble on some more? He's preparing for his debate. I've got busy people in here.
Brady is here.
What's up, on?
Okay, bring Brady up. See what he. Brady's here.
Oh yeah.
Should he?
Well, I'm not done.
Brady's banned. Brady's banned still,
Yeah.
you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Should give him 10 seconds and then see what he says. No.
No, he's got to
No.
write in and agree to follow the rules because he's still.
Yeah,
he still has
I
problems.
just because of the rules, I had to ask him, or I had to ban him. So, I don't mean that in a hateful way. I just mean it until he follows the rules of the fruitful dialectic that we follow here at Pangburn, the Constitution at Pangburn. Then he can't interact. So,
Shut.
And he's proven it now with his thumbs down. Brady, dude, see? Oh my word! Throw him out. Throw him out.
well, if Brady listens
Sorry.
to this in the future, as long as you come with a good fruitful dialectic.
I know. He's fun. He's fun to chat to, but he is breaking the rules. Brady, dude, and then you prove it with your thumbs down. Like, shit's sake. I do that to one guy, but he just banned me for no reason. He won't talk to me for years.
No,
We've
he
had
can.
10-second
Honnenheim,
conversation.
I don't think giving a thumbs down is against the rules. But no, this is a
Yeah.
more longer issue. Let's not make the show about people who have been banned, though. You
Yeah.
guys, like, let's
keep up on the
with
semantics.
what's
I
going
like
on.
that idea.
Yeah.
So we got Don busy and we got Scott busy. Scott, are you back? Scott, are you back with us? Okay, I'm gonna assume he's
Bard.
doing his own thing. Did you want to speak on
Can we
formal
change it to
semantics?
Bard?
Honenheim, did you want to speak on formal semantics and any of that? Did you have anything to say?
Well, kind of. It is. Yeah, kind of. It is semantics. Can we change band to Bard because it's more fun? Because the tavern you get Bard, not band.
Can we what now?
Change the band
Sorry?
to Bard, so you get Bard. You're Bard.
Oh, you get barred. I get what you're saying now. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're Bard. Sorry,
if
it's fun.
if he
Nicer.
if he tries to be helpful, we're all for it. That's what I want, is helpful people. So let's continue. All right, and we're gonna have the philosophy of language and things like that in future episodes. We're gonna talk linguistics is just it's more difficult, honestly, than philosophy. It really is, and it includes so much philosophy in all of what we're talking about, axiology and all that kind of stuff, dealing with meaning and value. But linguistics is a really complicated subject. It's a really terminology heavy field. But to understand linguistics is to really get a better understanding of yourself and how you communicate and what things mean and context, how you compose your sentences. This is all important stuff, I think, to try to get. We will study the theory of language and the philosophy of language, especially. So we understand formal semantics pretty well. I don't think I need to go in any deeper than that, or we're going to start getting into algebraic logic. So then there's also another discipline of semantics called conceptual semantics. Okay, this is a theory in an effort to explain properties of argument structure. The assumption behind this theory is that syntactic properties of phrases or of sentences reflect the meanings of the words that head them. So, with this theory, linguists can better deal with the fact that subtle differences in word meaning correlate with other differences in the syntactic structures that the words appear in. So, let's read that again. It says, within the conceptual semantics, linguists can better deal with the fact that subtle differences in word meaning correlate with other differences in the syntactic structure that the word appears in. So the way that this has gone about is by looking at the internal structure of words. These small parts that make up the internal structures of words are termed semantic primitives. Okay? So without getting too deep into conceptual semantics, let's see. I explained what lexical semantics is and the nature of meaning itself within a lexicon. Let's just see. I'm reading through my notes, guys. Hold on. Whoa, now. Meaning and no, I don't want to read that. Okay, so we understand enough about conceptual semantics. We'll move on past that because it deals with a lot more theoretical structure, and we don't really care about that. We care about the actual practical stuff. So let's go on to cognitive semantics. Okay. Cognitive semantics approaches meaning from the perspective of cognitive linguistics, which that is another interdisciplinary branch of linguistics, combining knowledge and research from cognitive science like AI and psychology and all that, and linguistics to model these theoretical accounts of cognitive linguistics. Let me make sure I read that right. That's a terrible sentence that I wrote. So one more time. Cognitive linguistics is an interdisciplinary branch of linguistics combining knowledge and research from cognitive science and linguistics itself. So in this framework, language is explained via general human cognitive abilities rather than like a domain-specific language module, like we talked about a moment ago. The techniques native to cognitive semantics are typically used in lexical studies, such as those put forth by Leonard Talmy, George Lakoff, and Dirk Gereiters. I can't pronounce that last name, so hopefully that's correct. Lexical studies is lexicology, like we talked about in earlier episodes, is the branch of linguistics that analyzes the lexicon of a specific language or a specific person. The lexis is the all the words that make up a language's word structure and vocabulary. So we talked a little bit about lexical semantics. That is what Perry was talking about earlier with it's the linguistic theory that investigates word meaning, individual words within the sentence. This theory of lexical semantics understands that the meaning of a word is fully reflected by its context. In this instance, the meaning of a word is constituted by its contextual relations within the sentence. Therefore, a distinction between degrees of participation as well as modes of participation are made. In order to accomplish this distinction, any part of a sentence that bears a meaning and combines with the meanings of other constituents is labeled as a semantic constituent. Semantic constituents that cannot be broken down into more elementary constituents are labeled minimal semantic constituents. So these are all parts of subdisciplines of linguistics, and we're getting into the very ideas excuse me, we're getting into the very fundamental ideas of what these different types of looking at semantics are. And to really understand conceptual semantics and cognitive semantics, you would really have to go do some study of your own, because these are very jargon heavy technical fields. But I just want to give you a basis for understanding this kind of stuff, so that you could go out into the world and understand how difficult semantics is overall. Let's go around the room again. Trav, you got anything for me?
Oh, am I still unmuted?
Yeah, you're fine.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just
Soaking it up.
Just soaking
Good.
it up, man. Enjoying.
I don't want to get
doing a little bit of homework.
Yeah,
while I'm
that's
listening.
fine. Perry, what do you think about this, the subdisciplines of semantics? Do you think it's important to divide all this stuff up into different levels and theories of semantics?
Until we get a theory of
A
everything.
theory of
Yeah,
everything
it
linguistically,
is important.
or everything in general?
Well, if it's really a theory of everything,
Yeah,
then
somehow we
there
can
would
link
be no
particle
category.
physics to
But
how semantics is derived from syntax.
you said cognitive science, which is an
Cognitive science is
interdisciplinary branch
AI,
of
cognitive
linguistics.
psychology, all that.
Or not, no, I'm sorry. Cognitive, oh yeah. Cognitive, that's
Yes,
part of cognitive linguistics, right?
yes.
I thought perhaps I said cognitive science. But like you said just now, it uses the data that we get from cognitive science, but what linguistic discipline is used by cognitive science to get that data? So
Yeah,
not
what
only
are the
is it meta, but
psychometrics
like
for
it's
that? I don't know.
meta specific. But what is the linguistic discipline used by cognitive science to get that data? Because don't they?
Yeah, I
I
guess
mean, they got
so.
to start somewhere, right? I mean, this is what Scott was criticizing me with the ad
Yeah.
infinitum thing. But wherever you start, what does cognitive science start with? And so we use first that linguistic to get the data in order to
So
get the
let's
cognitive
do it real
linguistic.
quick. Cognitive linguistics is an interdisciplinary branch of linguistics, combining knowledge and research from cognitive science, cognitive psychology, and neuropsychology, and also linguistics. Models and theoretical accounts of cognitive linguistics are considered as psychologically real, and research in cognitive linguistics aims to help understand cognition in general and is seen as a road into the human mind.
What are
The
those
roots of
models
cognitive
that were
linguistics are
used?
in Noam
What are the
Chomsky's
models?
1959 critical review of B.F. Skinner's verbal behavior. Chomsky's rejection of behavioral psychology and his subsequent anti-behaviorist activity helped bring about a focus shift from empiricism to mentalism in psychology under the new concepts of cognitive psychology and cognitive linguistics.
So mentalism
In
is
psychology, mentalism refers to those branches of study that concentrate on
psychology.
perception and thought processes. For example, mental imagery, consciousness, and cognition, as in cognitive psychology.
How do you put values to those things that you
Yeah,
just listed? How do you
yeah,
make
the
data? Like
psychometrics of
how
how
do
the
you
psychometrics
measure
of how you
perception?
yeah the
The
psychometrics of
psychometrics.
how
There you
you would
go.
measure
Yeah.
this stuff. I'm not
Okay.
sure. A lot of it is probably case studies. They do case studies on people and then study the linguistics of the
Right.
case studies.
Which are just as real, says
Yeah, he
Chomsky,
said in cognitive
which are
linguistics,
just as good
models
as
and theoretical
as
accounts of cognitive linguistics are considered as psychologically real, and research in
I
cognitive
see. Okay.
linguistics aims to help understand cognition in general. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we get down to like the
Yeah,
real nitty gritty of
yeah.
it. How cognitive science uses its foundation, its principles, its basic principle, or first principles. I think is the word that you said you like to use, or maybe it was
Say that
someone
again. I'm
else who said
sorry.
that.
You're a little
First
quiet.
principles or sorry, it was either you or Don who said first
Yeah,
principles was a
yeah.
good
That's what
word
Descartes
to use. I
used
think
when
we
he
were
was
talking about
talking about
metaphysics, but
his undeniable or irrefutable first principles. I can't remember. Um, Something like that. Just bare bones presupposition land, I guess. I don't know how to explain first
yep.
principles any better than Rene
That,
Descartes put it, and as meta as he could possibly get in terms of skepticism.
yeah, I mean that broad definition that you just
Yeah.
gave is about as good as it gets. So
So we've got okay. Within cognitive linguistics, we have generative grammar. Should I keep going and covering this stuff? Because I'm having a good time, but I don't want to bore anybody to tears. I want there to be a good dialectic here. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know my
No, you're
answer,
not the
but I'm
majority.
not the
It's okay,
majority
but you
though.
and I can be the majority. So we've talked about that a little bit. If there's anything else I need to go over, I will. But I'll go ahead and we'll cover. Let's talk about generative grammar. So, generative grammar functions as a source of hypothesis about language computation in the mind and brain. It is argued to be the study of the cognitive neuroscience of language. Generative grammar studies behavioral instincts and the biological nature of cognitive linguistic algorithms, providing a computational representational theory of mind. This goes along with what Travis says a lot of times with the computational nature of the mind. Would you say that, Travis? So that's generative grammar.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
Yeah.
This in practice means that
Mm.
sentence analysis by linguists is taken as a way to uncover cognitive structures. It is argued that a random genetic mutation in humans has caused syntactic structures to appear in the mind. This is what they argue. Therefore, the fact that people have language does not rely on its communicative purposes. Here's a good one. It says, for a famous example, it was argued by linguist Noam Chomsky that the sentences of the type, quote, is the man who is hungry ordering dinner, quote, are so rare that it is unlikely that children will have heard them. Since they can nonetheless produce them, it was further argued that the structure is not learned but acquired from an innate cognitive language component. Generative grammarians then took this as their task to find out about all innate structures through introspection in order to form a picture of the hypothesized language faculty of all developing children. So generative grammar promotes a modular view of the mind, like we have modules and conceptual modules, considering language as an autonomous mind module, right? Like this built-in universal grammar language module that we have programmed in from our genes and from evolution. Thus, language is separated from mathematical logic to the extent that inference plays no role in language acquisition. The generative conception of human cognition is also influential in cognitive psychology and computer science. And Noam Chomsky has worked in both of those to help people understand semantics better. So, yeah, that goes along with what Travis says a lot. And what do you think, Perry? Generative grammar.
I always have my potential criticisms when it
You're
comes
breaking
to
up a
the
little
whole
bit, but you're
innate
breaking up.
concepts, the whole pure concepts idea, intrinsic, innate. Uh, but if you put, I guess, sorry, I might be covering my mouth. If you put a scientific notion of genetics on it, I can definitely see how you could call that innate and intrinsic at that point. I guess, yeah. I mean, the conversation then becomes a genetic,
Yeah, do we have these
biological evolution type of,
conceptual modules like imagination and language already pre-programmed into us by nature and natural selection?
right? Yeah, I mean,
Well, that
pre-programmed.
program
Yeah,
implies a creator. I'm just saying programmed as a metaphor.
yeah, program based on
Yes,
consequential
consequential. Yes,
type
that's a
of
good way to think
as,
about
as
it.
a
Yeah.
yeah.
Legal programming, as in laws, as
Yes.
in laws of physics.
Nomological.
Legal.
Physics. So generative grammar is really important to look into, and we're going to study universal grammar and Noam Chomsky and generative grammar a little bit more. But that's a good start. That's a good start to get everybody interested in the introspection that comes from understanding generative grammar. This is all from me studying cognitive linguistics, and there's other things like if you guys want to look up underneath, if we're talking about cognitive linguistics, there's fields generative grammar, which we went over. There's also another. It's just called cognitive linguistics framework. Um, it, it's a movement that saw its beginnings in the early 1980s with George Lakoff's metaphor theory that was united with Ronald Langacker's cognitive grammar, with subsequent models of construction grammar. It's just a bunch of people's individual takes on these frameworks. So then there's people want to look this up. There's conceptual metaphor theory, um, cognitive and construction grammar theory, and integrative cognitive linguistics. So I'll read about integrative. There is also a third approach to cognitive linguistics, which neither directly supports the modular generative grammar nor the anti-modular cognitive linguistics view of the mind. So there we understand that generative grammar and the anti-modular cognitive linguistics view of the mind. Proponents of this third view argue that, according to brain research and neuroscience, language processing is specialized, although not autonomous from other types of information processing. Language, in this sense, is thought of as one of the human cognitive abilities, along with perception, phenomenology, attention, memory, motor skills, and visual and spatial processing, rather than being subordinate to them. So let's say that again. In integrative cognitive linguistics, language is thought of as one of human cognitive abilities, along with perception and memory and stuff, uh, it, 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 rather than being subordinate to. So instead of let me see if I can explain this the best way. Instead of the perception and the memory and all that being what, damn, this is hard to explain in a metaphor. Um, so what it's saying here is that language is a cognitive ability. It's not like a module or anything. It's a cognitive ability. It's a skill, like, or it's a useful thing to us, like perception. Um, and it's not subordinate to those skills. It's like in there with them, if that makes any sense. It's just another cognitive ability. So in this sense, emphasis is laid on a cognitive semantics that studies the conceptual nature of meaning, and that we talked about cognitive semantics earlier. And I guess I can go over the computational approaches, but that's going to get into computer science, and I don't know if I want to tie too much of the computational grammar into this episode at least. Um, so we've covered cognitive because these are the most difficult ones to understand because they deal with psychology. We've covered cognitive linguistics, and we've covered cognitive semantics. Now I kind of want to go back to cognitive semantics and make sure that everybody understands. Uh, so computational, no, cognitive semantics. I'm sorry, wrong place. One more time for everybody. Cognitive semantics approaches meaning from the perspective of cognitive linguistics, which we just talked about. In this framework, language is explained via general human cognitive abilities rather than a domain-specific language module. So the cognitive semantics are anti-module. The generative grammar semantics and cognitive linguistics are module-based. Okay? So we also have computational semantics, and I'll just read a short paragraph on that. Computational semantics is focused on the process of linguistic meaning in computational structures. In order to do this, concrete algorithms and architectures are described and created. Within this framework, the algorithms and architectures are also analyzed in the terms of decidability, complexity, data structures, and the data structures that they require. So that's pretty much computational semantics. We can get deeper into it, but it's not really important because we're going to get deeper into the computer science and the programming languages. There's also, in terms of semantics, we can talk about semantic models or like semantic memory in psychology, things like ideasthesia and psychosemantics. I may save that for the next episode because we've covered a lot tonight, and I want people to be able to soak it up. So I've been talking for about an hour and a half now, guys. I really appreciate you listening to me. I really appreciate you being a part of this and coming in here and hanging out with us. And now I open it to the floor. What's on everybody's mind? Anybody want to talk about semantics or? What do you think, Perry? What do you think about all that?
Well, definitely a lot of terminology to try and soak in and then categorize in my brain as to
Oh, it's hurting my
what
brain too.
means
I've been
what.
looking at it for like 3 days.
Was Kant right with the pure
Maybe.
concept?
I've asked myself that question as well.
I mean, like he specifically had like 12 or 13 or something. Not to say that it's just, I guess, the idea of pure concepts.
Is that the same as his idea of categories?
If
Is that the
that's
same
if
as
that
his
was
idea of
his,
categories? Pure
yeah,
categories? Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pure concepts might be another person that I'm thinking of. I think, yeah, but I'm 98+%
That it was Kant.
sure that they're
Okay.
synonymous with each other.
Yeah,
Go
search
ahead
it
and
up.
search it up. I'm just gonna type in
What's
pure
that sweet
concepts.
hatted man up to over there?
Concepts.
Hey, hey.
Hey. No, that's great. Like, yeah, think of the hottest topics in the philosophy of politics or in God discussions. So much of those discussions are about meaning, the meaning we are trying to convey through language. And I was just thinking that whole time, it's like, how important it is to get better at doing this, get better at communicating our meaning with each other. And it does help to go to first principles to take it back a level of abstraction to really get down to okay, we have reality, then we have the consistent relation of reality, then we have the logic that we can abstract from that consistent relation, and then, of course, logic is going to kind of point us in the direction of what it means for an apple to fall off a tree,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, do you think that people have done their due diligence of trying to understand those first principles, or do you think that they've obtained beliefs off of shaky foundations? The majority of people. Do you think that the majority of people
Well,
do
I would
due
wish that,
diligence?
yeah, I would wish that this was, the main focus of any child's educational curriculum is to
Yes.
focus on logic and what logic is, what it's abstracted from. A lot of people can't really put into words what logic is abstracted from, but it's simply put as the
Yeah.
consistent relation of reality. We notice that reality has a consistency. That's important, because imagine abstracting logic from a reality
Yeah,
that
no
didn't
patterns,
have
we would be in
consistency.
trouble.
Whew.
We abstract patterns, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what.
Yeah,
Yes,
that would be
exactly.
yeah. So I really think if we gave that gift to children and all people, what logic is, why it matters, and how we get it, that's going to give people a big advantage when trying to understand their own thinking.
I mean,
their
children
own
as young
meaning,
as 11 and
and
12 can
where it's really
understand,
coming from.
Aristotelian logic. You know what I mean? And they
Right.
can also understand base concepts in psychology. You know what I mean? And these ideas of critical
Mhm.
thinking about oneself and one's environment and interpersonal and intrapersonal relationships is a net benefit to everyone.
Yeah, and understanding basics of logicism
Mm-hmm.
and how it applies to the relationship between logic
That's
and
right.
mathematics. And obviously, this was a big
Yes.
focus of Russell's, and sometimes giving some enlightenments to the first principles and what things are born out of can really help a child
Yeah.
in things like mathematics, because they can really start thinking about this isn't very difficult. It's just about things we notice, abstracting some concepts that help us theorize about those things and that allow us to make predictions that if an apple becomes detached from a tree, it will fall.
Because it loves
We're
the earth,
almost certain of
Travis.
that, right?
Love the earth.
because it maybe loves the earth, or however we want to, theorize that. So yeah, there's definitely great value, I would say, from most standards of epistemology to have a good solid foundation in first principles and understanding where logic comes from, and also sorting out what these things must at least mean, like when we talk about reality and things like that.
Agreed.
But do you think that most people do their due diligence to understand that?
I mean,
Or
no,
do you...
no. I mean, most people don't know what logic is,
Yeah.
right?
Yet they use it every day at work, and they use it every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like logic comes.
It's in everything we
Reason is
have.
reasonable before any other axiom. That is, you have to assume that to get to the logical absolutes.
We are brothers to logic because we too are born from the consistent relation of reality.
We are logic. That's right.
Well, I would say we're brothers to
Brothers
logic
to logic,
because because logic we abstract from, but in a sense we were born from that same consistent relation. Is what I would say. Without it, I'm sure it would be hard to mix together a self-replicator.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a 10 p.m. hockey
my
game
God.
tonight. Fuck, that's late.
Holy shit, dude.
Oh well. I'll have to just dunk my head in a pool of
How long is
Monster
that going to
Energy
take?
drink.
Like, is it like a 3-4 hour affair, or what is it?
Oh no, 90
okay,
minute
that's
game.
not too bad.
Yeah.
But you got to get all
Yeah.
hyped up and everything to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But usually once I smell the rink, right when I walk through those doors, I'm in hockey mode.
Hockey mode. That sounds like a special mode of existence. You're enlightened with the
It is, man.
hockeyness.
Sid the Kid, the goat of hockey. Oh my fucking god! Can we ban K-Dot right now? Are you trying to tell me that's it? K-Dot, fucking call in right now. We might not have to have a side
Yeah,
about
there you
hockey.
go. I don't
trying to
mind a
tell me
hockey
that-
tangent. I don't give a shit.
You're trying to tell me that Sid is superior to Ovi when Ovi's about to break Wayne Gretzky's scoring record? Like, are you kidding me? The goat of hockey. Look, he's a skilled player, but my God, I'm gonna have to take my hat off and do one of these.
I don't want to hear dumb Alex statistics.
Oh my God, I'm triggered. Now I'm really triggered.
He's not going to call in, or they aren't going to call in. I want to be politically correct here.
Yeah. Oh, here he is. Let's hear him out.
Let's do it.
Hussein, man, you let me down.
Are you muted, brother? Hello?
Oh, I was looking forward to that. Hello?
Oh.
Against Sid the Kid being the GOAT of hockey. Come on, Ovechkin has always had way better teammates. He's way more skilled.
What are you talking about?
He's a much better hockey player in every sense of the
No,
word. His goal
way
scoring
better
can be better, but because he likes to pass. He likes to
better
pass the
teammates.
ball. Like,
Evgeny,
he's not a ball hog like Alex Ovechkin, first of all. He prefers
Dude,
to
Sid-
pass the ball.
Sid-
His assists are always on points. Where's the argument against Sid the Kid being the
Sidney
greatest?
Crosby has had Evgeny Malkin, man.
You know, that's the only guy he has.
He's had Chris Letang on D. Who has Ovechkin had on D as like an offensive D man who can really get him the puck? That man, he doesn't need anyone but someone who can feed it to him in the
he's
top
ever
of the
had
slot.
on his team, and even Genny isn't the great. Okay, Chris Letang,
What? No, come on, Malkin. You got to agree. Like, Malkin's no Yager, but he's similar.
ball hog. That's my whole argument here. He's a ball hog. Sydney is a team player who's willing to pass the like. Even if he wanted to compete with Alex Ovechkin's goal scoring record, he could have easily done it. But you know why? Because he's such a team player. He decides to
Oh, come
he
on.
decides to let other people shine around him, like a Genny Malkin, like a Letang,
I mean, that's a
and
beautiful
all these other average
that-
guys we had in Pittsburgh.
Look, that's a
But the
beautiful
rest,
poem you
Genny
just
and
constructed
Letang
there,
were
and I
okay,
think it
not anywhere
accurately
near what
depicts your
Ovechkin
love
has
for Sidney
over at
Crosby.
wherever
But
he plays. I don't remember where he plays. Travis, you're from Canada. How do you not know this? I thought you were the hockey guy. Hockey is not even my number one sport. I only go to
well,
like
I'm asking.
playoff
Well,
games.
you're a little hard for me to
Playoffs.
hear. But what was the thing you didn't think I knew about Crosby?
You're cutting
Like
up.
I know I'm saying, like, who do you think Ovechkin has really had to like work with, pad his stats in the same way that Crosby has had? Like, yeah, sure, Crosby carried some plugs like Cook on his line for a little bit in his career and things like that, but I think that was more for a bit of protection. But I don't know. I look at Ovechkin and I see what he's done when the goaltending is so good now in the NHL, and he's still able to put up these numbers. Mario Lemieux used to be my GOAT, but I have to say that,
like Nicholas Backstrom. He had Nicholas on his team.
well, Backstrom's a good player, but I don't think those two are playing on the same line ever. I could be wrong about that.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know how often they play on the same line together, but I think he plays with Tom Wilson.
Arguing
I
with
could
the
be wrong.
Canadian about hockey statistics, who I thought would know this stuff, and he's over here taking Alex Ovechkin's side over Sid the Kid.
Yeah, man, it has nothing to do with. Yeah, I'll take the Russian side over the Canadian hockey player. I don't give a fuck about that. It's about how you play the game, man. Like I said, this guy.
You wear this hat, and now you want to make arguments for Alex Ovechkin over Sidney Crosby.
Dude, how can? But like, what argument do you have besides like an appeal to like Canadian love? I just. You know, a guy that's about to break Wayne Gretzky's scoring record, that's very impressive.
That's the only thing, that's the only thing I like about your whole country. Like, I hate everything about Canada but Sid the Kid. I hate you're all straight. I hate your philosopher guy that you all imparted over here into America, whatever his name is, who cries a lot on the internet. I forget his name. All of these
Jordan
weirdos
Peterson?
that you all imported over here into America, I hate all of them except Sid the Kid.
Well, I would suggest less hate.
Like all of them.
I would say less hate and find things to love about these guys.
And then you all, this weird Drake guy, you all imparted over all of these.
Yeah.
You know what?
Both
I'm
great
gonna
hockey
go
players,
argue with some real hockey fans, Travis, because I don't think
Right, peace out.
you know what you're talking about in this hockey department, huh? I do.
Okay, fair enough.
I was about to say he is the one about to go play.
You make a hockey Pangburn thing, and then I'll bring all my statistics. Yeah, there you go.
Sure, we can talk about hockey. I'll do.
Make a hockey.
I'll do an episode on hockey.
I'll even invite my one other black friend.
Okay.
I'll invite my one other black friend who watches hockey with me.
Oh, Scott's back.
And then we'll go down the years about why Sid the Kid. Why Sid the Kid is 10 times will always be 10 times better than that Russian Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah, this seems like a Russia versus United States issue for you.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. We all know the most important thing in hockey is the haircut. Dude.
Yeah.
Travis gets it.
Righto.
Yes. But the meaning of hockey is to get out there and stick your fucking stick in
That's
someone.
right.
Let them know you're there.
Oh, hockey's for me.
That was perfect.
Killer timing.
That was fucking slick.
Yay. Who else wants to join the tangents? Honenheim, what are you doing? Fuck you doing, bro? You
Honenheim,
like
he's
taking a shower or what?
formulating.
I'm here.
He's
I'm getting my-
formulating some mathematics. Honenheim.
I
I'm
did
getting my
learn something
guitar
interesting.
ready.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm doing.
saying I love you.
Oh, no.
Peter, read Peter's comments, Travis.
You're a fucking banana. Hockey and or the juvenile scraps. Time to kill it on the whole K front. A G chord, lovely. I was trying to do drunk Peter there.
Oh, I love Peter. Is when he's drunk, it's just my favorite time ever.
Time to kill it.
Oh, it's a G chord. Holy crap, Peter. That's the mighty ear you have.
Peter,
You got a
Peter
mighty
has
ear.
Peter has like musicians ear, bro.
Sorry about that.
Nah, no apologies.
That's impressive. Is that a Scottish accent? Shit, sorry. Dude.
Peter, come up. Peter, if you want to come up here and talk, get your ass up here, bro.
Fuck
I'm
yeah.
gonna invite you to speak, Peter.
Bring it,
Peter. Come on up. Get your ass up here and talk.
Can eater.
Scott, I can hear you.
I'm up to beat it. No, I'm too tired. I'll stay for a few minutes, but I gotta get to bed soon.
All right, dude.
I got an early start.
Unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
I can have a cigarette. I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Shit, I need to plug my phone in here.
Plug it in. Perry, what are you doing? Perry?
Nothing. Yo.
I can barely hear you, brother.
Nothing. I ain't doing
You
nothing.
ain't doing nothing? I just smoked a bowl, so I'm in La La Land here.
How is it?
It's very
Enjoyable?
good. I like it a lot. It's really good.
Good.
Good choices.
Yeah, I just like a few handfuls. I don't.
Oh, I
I
don't,
didn't
dude.
even
You helped me at the
keep track
huge,
of it.
so it's all good.
Just eyeballed
Yeah.
it.
It's a plenty. Saved me a lot of money this month, man. Big time. Honenheim, you still driving?
I wasn't driving. I'm getting my guitar out.
He was getting his guitar out.
Oh, I just thought I heard like noise a second ago in the background, like he was driving. My bad.
Just driving behind me. Crap, you got a good ear.
Honenheim has his back door open, and he's got people driving right along like his back door when he opens it, so it sounds like it's a traffic fucking like all the time.
There's like 7 roads around me. 4 overpasses, 2 roads on the bottom. Fucking crazy.
I thought you were going somewhere else there when you said he has his back door open.
No. Just
Play
like,
some
like
hockey.
you ever watch like Honenheim on video, like once he opens his back door, like it's a fucking cavalcade of fucking like traffic sounds all the time. It's like in the face.
It happens once a month
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the food here. It's worth it. I have to open my back door and
Oh shit! Did you get some sausage delivered?
there's amazing sausage in Thailand.
Ooh, yeah.
Everything sounds kind of wrong.
we can call them wieners. Good wieners.
Real spicy. Real spicy.
What do they like? Everything spicy in the
So, we're getting a lot of background
that's
noise
just
from
perpetual.
Honenheim.
He can't help it.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the fucking it's the road noise outside.
His microphone is so
Yeah,
fucking
no, it's
sensitive.
like
Like he must have the yeah.
yeah.
He can't help it. I've just accepted that every time Honenheim speaks, it's on Discord. It's not nearly as bad. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid.
So this question came to mind today, and Nivek had a
All
very
right.
interesting answer. So I asked the Discord server, "What kind of person is your enemy?" And Nivek said, "A very nice person." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Saying you mean well, here to help, to earn trust is a good way to make a person reliant and to put them in the ultimate most effective position to do the most harm."
That sounds like Navekianism.
And I
Yeah.
said, "That's nice to you?" And he said, "On the
Is he
surface."
talking about like
on the
is he talking
surface.
about like narcissists? You know, if you're too nice and too charming,
He's
that you shouldn't trust that.
see, but yeah, he's talking about like people acting nice, right? But instead of saying like people who are actually nice, so his answer taken by itself is a very who's your enemy, Nivik? A
Yeah.
very nice person.
So out of
That's
context,
his
we could have
answer.
a semantics problem in that
Yeah.
instance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and this is why like you need to this is why it's important to do the work to clarify the concepts in your mind, do the work semantically so that you convey the meaning you are trying to convey in the
Yeah.
words that you speak or
Yeah.
the words that you say.
Take all the context that you can into
Um,
account. That's the easiest way to have semantic synergy. You know what I mean? Is to take as many properties of it of the context around you about the sentence and the proposition that you can. We can't account for every variable, but understanding the context of a proposition or a statement is extremely important.
Niv is very like he does have a good grasp on the notion like everything outside of me is the other though, right? So you know what I mean, like religious people have a hard time with this. Niv is like fucking full on just living in it.
yeah.
Living in it.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah, Navekianism is suffering.
Yeah. So
I'm
what?
sorry.
Yeah.
I was just saying
No worries. Go
Navekianism
ahead.
is suffering avoidance calculus, and I think that makes a world of rats scurrying around trying to see who can get one up on the other person. I don't know. I don't know what a world like that would be like.
Exactly. Well, that's I mean that literally is his arguments, though, right?
Yeah.
You know, like that's the way he sees things. It's like a constant power struggle. And it's like, dude, calm down, take a step back, bud.
So Scott, if I was to use enemy in the sense of a person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something, what kind of person is your enemy?
The guy who raped my ex-girlfriend. Totally enemy, right off the bat, done. Hands down. I mean, that's it's few and far between, but there are these certain cases,
Right. And in your ethical framework, is there a road to redemption for that man?
Ooh, with other people, with me, I don't know.
What was your question?
A road to redemption. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, I
Oh,
think
Bruce is in the
yeah,
caller
yeah,
queue, by the way.
No,
If
yeah,
you want to
Bruce
invite
is
him up
always
to
welcome
speak.
to speak.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, somebody could be redeemed societally,
Right.
like they face the punishment that's been given to them, but that doesn't mean they're redeemed, in my opinion, right? Like I would still be like, oh, I fucking hate that guy. Right?
So, okay, And is there anything that this guy could do to make you not hate him, or you're not quite sure?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah, if something happened and it's like,
anyone who I would consider an enemy.
Yeah.
You know, so because I can't really think of. Well, here's a question though. How do we feel about people like Vladimir Putin, who has invaded another country?
Yeah, and is
right?
responsible
Does
for
that
a lot
meet
of
this?
death.
Yeah. Now, does that meet the standards? And then, of course, even if you come at it from the other side and say, and reference the Donbass war and think that Putin might have some, do you consider have some good reasons here? Do you consider the people on the other side to be your enemy because they are a person or persons who are actively opposed or hostile
Oh, this
to
is
someone
so
or something?
important to semantics. I
So
love it.
how
This is
far?
like, yeah, this is so
Right.
on the
Yeah.
nose,
Yeah.
man.
How far do we stretch
Yeah.
that bubble here with the concept of enemy?
Well, I think that's why, I mean, that's why I think love your enemies is truly a virtue that people should embrace. You will have enemies for sure, but and loving them doesn't mean excusing them, right? In
Right.
fact, it would mean to tell them the
I
truth,
agree with that.
and be wise, but
Yeah.
also hating the enemy. Well, in many cases, hating would be maybe ignoring in some cases, right? Hating them would be not
Yeah.
caring about
Yeah.
them in any way, and
Right.
so then you would just all
Yeah, Bruce.
responsibilities out the window, you know.
Yeah, you're nailing where I'm going, man. I agree with you on that. I do think that if again we're to define enemy as how I've read it here, loving the person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something, they don't lose my love. I feel as though I have love for my fellow men, women, children, even if I don't know them or know the good or bad
Yeah.
things that they have done. And Peter drops the ultimate bomb, right? Try loving a person who has murdered your child.
Well, I saw
Yeah, that's right. It is
So
hard.
they're the
there's
ultimate
a
enemy,
YouTube
right?
clip of a Muslim man forgiving the killer of his child on the stand in court. I can find the clip if I need to. You know, he killed his son. His son was like 18, and this African American man killed his son. And he said, I don't blame you, I blame the devil. And like he goes over there and hugs the dude. So
Right.
that's a statement to what
So
humans are capable of.
There's also a YouTube video of it was in Texas. Some guy kidnapped a dude's son and like raped him for like a couple weeks and then killed him. The guy found out when the FBI was flying him in. He hid in the airport with a loaded gun, and right as the guy walked by, he shot him in the head.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think I can definitely identify with that rage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think most people could, and that's the hard. It's a high calling to love your enemy and let justice be prevailed. You know, it's very hard though.
yeah, if someone in my view, if someone does something absolutely
Heinous.
horrible, the kind of love that I have for humanity just generally and people in general, that love doesn't go out the window if they have done the absolute worst thing that could be imagined. But just because I love someone does not mean, you know, I'm going to think less with less grief on the pain that they've caused
still
me
a part
or
of
the
your
pain that they've
well-being
caused
calculus.
others.
Well, there's
Of
that.
course. Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's justice. There's loving your neighbor and your enemies, and carrying out justice is love for your neighbors, right? Because you're bringing justice to bear on those who have done wrong. You're also realizing that, you know, hey, the circumstances require action, you know, so there's not really a love aspect. And again, like as a parent, you discipline your children, but love them, you know, and you discipline them because you love them. If you didn't love them, you would be an absent parent. You know, I would say
Mm,
that's awful. That would be truly evil to be an absent parent, right? I'm not saying that overbearing parents are doing a good job or abusive
Hmm.
parents. That's not the argument. The
Yeah.
argument is that discipline must come from love, not hate.
sure.
Yeah.
I can agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have children, so I don't know. But may I interrupt real quick? And Perry, what are your thoughts on this the semantics of enemy? And what do you think? Do you have any enemies?
If we're all going to epistemologically agree to Google's definition here, then yeah, I guess by definition, I do have enemies in instances, and I agree with the whole. Seems like I don't know if it derived from biblical, but the notion of doing good. Actually, it was before biblical. Socrates, when asking Polemarchus what you do to your enemies, Polemarchus says you do good to your friends and you do harm to your enemies. And surely Socrates essentially gives this biblical notion that we were talking about to do good to well, like I said earlier, perhaps it was just more of a philosophical semantic that I was using, where you really don't have any enemies. But again, if we are going to use this linguistic semantic, then yes, you do have enemies, and you still should treat them unconditionally, as you would your friend, and vice versa. You should treat your friends. You should treat everyone not based on, I guess, your ill feelings toward them, or your ill feelings that you get when being threatened, etc.
I guess the delineation here might
That's
be
So
kind of where I
hate
stand.
instead of enemy, right? Because we can have
yeah.
Yeah,
instances where
yeah,
people
that's
are our enemies, and then instances where they become friends. But the hate part seems to be like the linchpin here.
Well, and imagine loved ones becoming your enemies, right? So imagine this: let's say your brother. Imagine you have a brother, and he's kind of been losing it lately, and then he shows up one day with a baseball